I think the betrayal that hurts the most isn't when your partner cheats. It's when the person they cheat with is someone who knew your tears, who hugged you through your worst nights, who knew your favorite coffee order, your childhood trauma, and the exact way you like your pillows fluffed before bed. That's the kind of betrayal that doesn't just break your heart. It shatters your entire understanding of trust. My name is Rachel. I'm 34. And this is the story of how I lost my husband and my best friend in the same week, because they chose each other. If you've ever trusted someone so deeply that you would have handed them your whole life, only to realize they were slowly sharpening a knife behind your back, stay with me, because that's what this is. And if you're healing from something like it, maybe my story will help you feel a little less crazy. This is my side of revenge. And if you've ever been betrayed by the two people who were supposed to love you the most, subscribe. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't what you do, it's who you become after. I met Kara when we were 19. College orientation. She was loud, wild, unapologetic, the kind of girl who made you laugh so hard you forgot your name for a second. I was the quieter one, the list maker, the one who packed snacks for study group and reminded everyone when rent was due. We balanced each other. We needed each other. By senior year, we were inseparable. I called her my platonic soulmate. She joked she'd be my maid of honor one day. I believed her. And when I met Jordan, my future husband, she was the first person I introduced him to. She called dibs on vetting him, joked that if he ever made me cry, she'd personally key his car and hide the evidence. I loved that about her, her loyalty, her fierce, protective nature. I never imagined I'd one day need protecting from her. The three of us became a unit. Game nights, road trips. Kara would crash on our couch and roast us for how boring we were. She said we were disgustingly in love. She was at my engagement dinner. She helped me pick my wedding dress. She cried during the vows. I mean, really cried. She held my bouquet while I dabbed tears from my own eyes. She even helped us move into our first home. I still remember the selfie we took. Me, holding a paint roller. Jordan, lifting a box of books. Kara, flashing a peace sign behind us like a third sibling. It didn't feel weird. It felt safe. That's the illusion I want to talk about first. The illusion of loyalty. How easy it is to confuse proximity with protection. How you can be sleeping next to one betrayal while texting the other goodnight. You never think to doubt your best friend. And that's exactly why I didn't see it coming. Not when Kara started dropping by more often than usual. Not when Jordan got suddenly funny around her. Not when I started feeling like the third wheel in my own home. At the time, I blamed myself. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe I was hormonal. Maybe I was just jealous of their friendship. Because that's what I was told. That's what they both said. That it was just friendship. That I needed to chill. That I was overthinking again. Like I always did. So I did what loyal people do. I swallowed the weird feeling in my gut. I trusted them both. And I paid for that trust with my entire sense of reality. People always talk about the moment they found out. The screenshot, the voicemail, the lipstick on a shirt. But for me, there wasn't one big moment, no obvious clue, no smoking gun, just small shifts, little things, soft betrayals wrapped in normalcy, the kind of cracks that form when you're not paying attention. But suddenly, the foundation's not as solid as you thought. The first one came on a Thursday. I'd been running late from work. Traffic was brutal. I'd texted Jordan to say I'd be home by 7, but I got in closer to 7:45, tired, starving, and mentally drained from back-to-back meetings. The moment I opened the front door, I smelled her. That perfume. Kara's signature citrus vanilla blend. Light, sweet, familiar. It was something I loved about her once. She wasn't there, but her scent lingered like a ghost. I found Jordan in the kitchen reheating leftovers, acting casual. I asked, "Was Kara here today?" He nodded, didn't miss a beat. "Yeah, she dropped off that book you let her borrow." But here's the thing. I never lent her a book. I'm not even the book lending type, and I knew it. But I nodded like I believed him, smiled, opened the fridge. Because it felt easier to pretend than to confront the weirdness I couldn't prove. That night, I stood under the shower way longer than I needed to, let the water hit my skin like it could wash the doubt off me. It didn't. Crack. Then came the laughter. The kind I wasn't a part of anymore. We used to laugh, the three of us. We'd binge-watch trash TV and roast the characters together like teenagers. We had rhythm, timing, chemistry. It felt easy, until it didn't. I started noticing that when the three of us hung out, they had their own language, little phrases, inside jokes, shared glances. They'd burst into laughter over something vague, something I wasn't there for, and when I asked what it was, one of them would just brush it off. "Oh, nothing," Kara would say, still giggling. "You had to be there," Jordan would add. I was there, just not where it mattered. Crack, then the couch. It sounds so stupid when I say it now, but I remember it with surgical clarity. One night, we were watching a movie. Some thriller Kara had picked. I'd gotten up to grab popcorn. When I came back, she had her legs draped over Jordan's lap, like it was the most natural thing in the world. No flinch, no apology. Just a slow, lazy slide of her limbs as I entered the room, like she knew she'd crossed a line. And she also knew I wouldn't say anything, and I didn't. I just sat beside them, a little too far to reach Jordan's hand, a little too close to ignore what I'd seen. The popcorn sat in my lap, untouched. Crack. I tried to brush it off. Told myself Kara had always been touchy. Told myself Jordan wouldn't do that. Told myself I was overreacting. Because that's what love does sometimes. It gaslights you harder than the people you're defending. But then came the phone habits. Jordan had never been secretive. He was the kind of guy who'd leave his phone on the table, face up, notifications popping up unchecked. Now, that phone followed him everywhere. To the bathroom, to the laundry room, to the backyard when he took out the trash. He changed his lock screen from a picture of us to a generic wallpaper. Started turning the phone face down. Started replying to messages faster than he blinked, and always with a half smile. One night, I couldn't sleep. I got up for water, and there he was, in the hallway, sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, phone glowing in his hands. He looked up, startled. "Babe," he said, "you scared me." I asked what he was doing. "Playing chess," he replied. At 2:17 a.m. in the hallway, with that same half smile. I didn't even argue, just nodded and went back to bed. But sleep didn't come. Crack. It became a slow unraveling after that. Kara's visits became more frequent. Jordan's affection toward me became more efficient, mechanical. A kiss on the cheek. A "love you" said while scrolling. And then the dreams started. I'd dream of Kara sitting at my kitchen table, sipping coffee from my mug. Of Jordan whispering to her in the hallway while I sat crying in a room full of silence. And the worst part, I'd wake up and realize that I wasn't far off, that my dreams were just my instincts, dressed up in metaphors. There's a kind of grief that comes before the truth, when you know, but you don't have proof, when you're mourning something that's technically still alive. I was living in that grief, and every day, another crack formed. Another moment of doubt. Another second of looking at Kara's face and wondering if the person I'd trusted for 15 years was slowly replacing me. Absolutely. Here's a much longer, emotionally deeper version of part 3. The moment I knew, written to truly feel like the slow-motion heart shatter it was. Every second stretches, every breath counts. This version sits heavy, because that's how betrayal feels. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't a slap, it wasn't a crumpled receipt or a smudged lipstick in his car. It was a notification. A stupid little pop-up in the corner of his laptop screen, like a whisper the universe had been holding in its mouth for months and finally let slip. It happened on a Tuesday, over coffee, while I was wiping crumbs off the counter. Jordan had left his laptop open, something he never used for personal stuff. He was always glued to his phone. It made him harder to trace, I guess. I was moving it, just shifting it slightly to clean underneath when it lit up. A soft ping. Then the message. Kara. Last night was perfect. Still can't believe we got away with it. That was it. One sentence. But it hit me like a wrecking ball aimed straight at the part of me that still believed in the two of them. My throat closed instantly. My heart didn't speed up. It stopped. Just a tight pause. Like my body wasn't sure how to process what I'd just seen. I didn't touch the mouse. I didn't open the message. I just stood there, one hand still on the granite countertop, the other wrapped around a coffee mug that suddenly felt too heavy to hold. Last night? What happened last night? I had been home, in bed, alone. Jordan said he had late work to catch up on, and that I should sleep without him. Kara had texted me too, around 11 p.m. Don't stay up too late, babe. You need your rest. I replied with a heart emoji, because that's what I always did. Because I trusted her, my best friend, my sister in everything but blood. I stared at the screen, like maybe if I looked hard enough I could rewrite it. Like maybe it didn't say what I thought it did. Like maybe last night was just a joke, and got away with it was about sneaking out of a concert or binging a bad show behind someone's back. But I knew. There was a tone to that message, that intimate shorthand, that smugness people use when they're playing games behind someone's back and feeling bold enough to brag about it. I knew in my bones, in the way my stomach dropped, in the way the silence around me suddenly felt hostile. I didn't touch his laptop. I didn't dig for more. I didn't need to. I had felt it for months. The shift, the distance, the tension that always entered the room before Kara did. This wasn't a surprise. It was a confirmation. And somehow, that made it hurt more. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't even blink. I just stood there, frozen. A woman holding cold coffee in a warm kitchen that no longer felt like her own. And then I heard the water shut off upstairs. Jordan was done with his shower. Footsteps padded down the hallway. His slippers made that soft, swooshing sound against the wood floors, so normal, so familiar. I had maybe 30 seconds before he walked into the room. I took a deep breath, put the mug down, wiped the counter again, even though it didn't need wiping, because I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed time. Not to forgive him. Not to scream at him. I needed time to plan. He came in, towel draped around his neck, rubbing his hair dry. He smiled at me like he always did. "Hey, babe," he said, grabbing a banana from the counter. "Everything okay?" I looked at him. Really looked. Same eyes, same smile, same casual rhythm. The face of someone who was cheating on his wife with her best friend and felt nothing. I forced a smile. "Yeah," I said, steady. "Just tired." He kissed the top of my head, just like always, and walked out of the room, peeling the banana as he went. I watched him go, watched the man I used to love walk away from me like he hadn't just blown a hole through my soul. And I knew I'd never see him the same again. That night, I didn't bring it up. I crawled into bed beside him and stared at the ceiling while he scrolled through his phone, probably texting her goodnight. I didn't ask, didn't accuse, didn't react, because I didn't want a confession. I didn't need to hear him lie to my face. I already had the truth. And now, I just needed the right silence to hold it in. And so, I started thinking, not about how to fix us, but about how to end it in a way that would leave a mark, not out of anger, not even out of pain, but because some people need to be reminded that the person they underestimated was watching the whole time. You'd think the first thing I'd do is scream, throw something, pack a bag, confront him, confront her. But I didn't do any of that, because I realized something that night. I had already lost them. The husband I married no longer existed. The best friend I trusted had become a stranger wearing her smile. What was left to fight for? Nothing. And once you realize you've got nothing left to lose, you become very, very dangerous. I decided I wasn't going to blow up. I was going to drain them, slowly, quietly, piece by piece, starting with the finances. Jordan didn't know that I had access to everything. The house, my name, the car he drove, I paid for it. His phone plan, mine. The business account he launched last year, guess who filed the LLC? Me. I spent the next 2 weeks smiling like everything was fine, waking up early, making coffee, asking how his day was going, kissing him goodnight. Meanwhile, I was closing things, freezing cards, redirecting funds, pulling documents from shared folders and saving them to my private drive. I drained the joint savings account and rerouted the funds to a separate bank under my name, one he didn't know about. I stopped paying his car insurance. I unsubscribed him from my health coverage. I pulled my investment out of his side project, quietly, legally, and without any warnings. I didn't want him broke. I wanted him panicked. And then I started gathering evidence. I knew Kara would be careful. I knew she'd delete messages, use nicknames, call instead of text. But Jordan, he was sloppy. He still had email notifications popping up, still backed up photos to a shared cloud, still used passwords I had set up for him when we were first married. I went digging, not because I needed proof, but because I needed to plan the landing, screenshots, dates, flight bookings, chat logs. I built a quiet little file, titled it Closure, and then I called a lawyer, not just any lawyer, a woman, divorced twice, brilliant, sharp as hell. She walked me through the process, said I was smart for not reacting right away, said women like me, who wait, usually win. We built the paperwork slowly, carefully, and in secret. And when the legal side was in motion, I turned to Kara. I wasn't going to scream at her either. I was going to ruin her peace. Kara worked in PR. Reputation meant everything to her. So I sent her a gift, an anonymous envelope. Inside it, a printed photo of her and Jordan at the beach last weekend, the one she thought no one had taken. She was sitting on his lap. His hand was up her shirt. Attached was a single note. Smile. You're in a love story, and everyone's about to find out. I didn't send it to her work. I sent it to her house. Because I wanted her to open it alone. I wanted her to wonder if I sent it, or someone else. I wanted her to spiral, and she did. I could tell by how fast she stopped texting me, how she ghosted the group chat, how Jordan suddenly became weirdly attentive, bringing me flowers, asking if I was okay. Guilt makes cheaters panic. But calmness terrifies them. They expect drama. When you don't give them any, they start to question everything. Then came the final move. I printed the divorce papers, placed them in a black envelope, and left it on the kitchen table one Friday morning, alongside a note. I know everything. You can keep each other. I'm keeping my dignity. And I left. I didn't look back. I didn't cry. I got into my car and drove to the little Airbnb I'd rented 2 towns over. And for the first time in months, I breathed. It wasn't revenge with fireworks. It was revenge with grace. But make no mistake, it burned. Because I didn't just leave him. I let him live in the mess he made, with her. And that was the loudest silence I could give. People ask me now if I ever confronted them, face to face. And the truth? Number I didn't need to. Because there's something far more terrifying than a woman screaming at you. It's a woman who simply walks away. A woman who knows her worth. A woman who stops begging to be chosen. A woman who packs her silence and lets it echo louder than all your lies. I never said a word to Kara after that. I watched her from a distance. Watched her social media go dark. Watched her mutuals quietly disappear. Watched her once perfect image start to fade beneath the weight of the very truth she helped build. Jordan tried, for a while. The apologetic texts, the calls, the "I made a mistake" messages. I never replied. He married her 6 months later, and from what I hear, they're miserable. But that's not my story anymore. That's theirs. Mine is about rebirth. I went back to school, got a certification I'd put off for years. I started painting again. I adopted a dog who never lies to me about where he's been. And for the first time in a long time, I feel safe. Not because I trust the world, but because I finally trust myself. That's what betrayal teaches you if you let it. It shows you who's worth your energy, and who was only ever borrowing your light. I don't miss them. Not even a little. Because I've finally learned the difference between someone who loves you and someone who just wants to stand near your warmth without ever holding your heart. This was my story. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't fair. But it's mine. And if you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, if you've ever been replaced by someone who claimed to love you, I hope this made you feel seen. I hope you know that you can burn everything down and still come back softer, smarter, and stronger. This is my side of revenge. And if stories like this help you feel just a little less alone, subscribe, because sometimes healing starts with hearing someone else survive it. Thanks for listening. And don't worry, they always end up exactly where they belong.